Today we're looking at the impact of highly pathogenic avian influenza on the southern elephant seal colony at the Valdes Peninsula. The southern elephant seal is a marine mammal that spends 10 months of the year at sea. It has two terrestrial cycles. One is when it comes ashore for its breeding season, the next is for its molting season. There is only one major colony that hauls out on a continental site, and that is the Valdes Peninsula colony. The Valdes Peninsula colony is located on Argentina's Atlantic coast. It is a temperate zone, and it is very accessible to researchers, though it isn't interfered with by other humans. The colony has grown significantly in the last 60 years, while other colonies have been declining. In the last 30 years, its population stabilized. This is due to productive feeding grounds, as well as low pup mortality and little interaction with other colonies. Highly pathogenic avian influenza, or HPAI, originated in Hong Kong in 1996 among geese, where it formed a disease reservoir. This is where transmission happens frequently among the population, and the virus reassorts naturally. Reassortment occurs when a host body is co-infected by two different viruses, which leads to the genome swapping, and then a novel virus is created. The most dominant subtype of the virus, which is capable of mammal-to-mammal transmission, is HPAI H5N1, and this emerged in Europe in October 2020. It has since spread around the world and eventually reached the southern elephant seal colony at Valdes Peninsula in October of 2023, right at the start of their breeding season. So why is this important? Why should we care if a bunch of seals get the flu? Well, when the female seals came ashore for their breeding season, their numbers were way down. Not only that, once they gave birth to their pups, pup mortality was noticed to be higher than it should have been. Whereas usually it is less than 1% mortality, this year, in 2023, it reached 96%. For the Valdes Peninsula, there was an estimated 17,400 elephant seal deaths. This is roughly 30% of the colony. And many more will have been ill, will have not even held out for the breeding season, will have abandoned the breeding season, and potentially died elsewhere. The reason that we know this is because in the following breeding season of 2024, only 50% of the colony returned. The devastating impact of H5N1 has already eliminated the scientific uses for this colony as a sentinel for detecting pelagic marine environment changes. This is an area of science which is very difficult to study. Not only that, but the colony is expected to take decades to recover from this. A larger scale implication is that zoonotic transmission of HPAI is always a threat to public health. Although the virus is unlikely to spread to human populations, it can affect society in other ways. It can spread to our domestic animal populations, or it could spread to the agricultural populations, causing massive disruptions. It can also continue to reallocate and devastate wild animal populations, and can have mass mortality events with unforeseen consequences. The global response to HPAI should be heightened, and low and middle income countries should have their testing capabilities expanded. Governments and industries should agree upon appropriate levels of testing, quarantining, biosecurity, real-time genomic epidemiology, and use of vaccines and mass culling when required. Mass vaccine application to livestock, though it can be useful for containing the virus, makes the livestock ineligible for international trade and therefore economically unviable. This is legislation that the World Organization for Animal Health says needs to be updated. Political cooperation, social engagement, and ethical discussions must be embraced to try and ensure that any future outbreaks of HPAI are limited in their destruction. It remains unclear what damage could be caused by a future pandemic.